Another important negotiation element is power. Power is hard to define precisely. It is highly subjective. But intuitively, we know when it's present. The most obvious way of exemplifying a power relation is through hierarchy. That is, a director usually has more power than a manager and less than the CEO. But there are other power relations that are subtler. For example, if a street market apple seller is one of many in the same street selling apples, his negotiation power towards a potential buyer who asks for a price discount is minor compared to the scenario he is the only apple seller around, as the buyer will have more choices. Power may also vary over time. In the same apple selling example, very likely in the early morning, the seller will have more power to impose his asking price than later in the afternoon, if he still has apples to sell. The unsold apples came rot, they had to be transported back, increasing seller's cost and at the same time reducing the potential apple sale price due to the decrease in quality. Another example of a power relation is among relatives or people with whom you have a somewhat valued relationship. If you want to see an action movie and your girlfriend wants to see a comedy, chances are that more than half of the times that this happens, you will concede, because to you it's more important to keep a good relationship with her than having your film choice prevailing, or at least it should be more important. This is an example of a subtle relation of power that has a direct influence over the negotiation outcome. In planning one negotiation, it's important to recognize the power relations among the negotiators to establish feasible negotiation objectives and establish a fair and well-executed negotiation process in order to, whatever outcomes, keep a good relationship with the other negotiators. Thus, in the apples example, if the most important thing for the buyer is to pay the lowest price, he has more chances of doing so going to the market in the afternoon than in the morning. In the film choosing example, the ideal would be previously establishing a rule accepted by both to watching films of the preference alternately. This way, the first time they disagreed, they would watch to a comedy, the second an action movie, or vice versa. The negotiation with someone with more perceived power than yourself does not mean necessarily that you'll be forced to concede at the end. For instance, if your boss is negotiating your salary with you, after acknowledging that her superior position in the hierarchy will affect the negotiation result, you should understand, first, your company's salary rules, because they have more power than your boss individually. Second, your relative power in the negotiation that depends upon your career moment. If there is a queue of people capable of doing your work for the same salary or less, then you are in a fragile negotiation position. But if your boss depends on you to execute a given task that is hard to be executed by anyone else, then, even being the employee, you have a lot of negotiation power, sometimes even more than your boss. We'll continue in the next video.